The contents of this program may not necessarily represent the views of Ummah channel.
Good evening, welcome to Debate Night with me, Mohammed Shafiq, live from our studios in Blackburn. For the next 2 hours, we talk about the local elections. In less than a week, you'll get the chance to go out and vote for a particular candidate or particular party. Here on my channel, we don't tell you which party to vote for, but we do bring you and showcase the talent that exists within our communities so you can make a decision how you wish to vote. The only message that we have is that we encourage you to get out and vote. Voting is very important. It's your chance in a year when you can hold your politicians to account and really scrutinise the candidates. We've got a packed show tonight. We've got a good range of speakers. And more importantly, we'll be taking your calls. Lines are now open, 01254 277 370. If you're on Twitter, it's mshafiq UK. And if you're on Facebook, it's the official Ummah channel page. Tweet me, message me, call me, whichever way you want to get in touch with the show. You are very welcome. This is what makes this show one of the greatest shows on Muslim television today here in the UK and across Europe. So wherever you are internationally, 0044 1254 277 370. Let me introduce my guest, Councillor Khadim Hussain. He's the sitting councillor for Keighley Central. He's standing for his potentially third term. Assalamu alaikum, Khadim. Thank you so much. Welcome to the show.
You're welcome. Thank you for that.
We have the one and only, that is Dawud Islam. He was formerly of the Green Party. You remember him? He was formerly the candidate in the Bradford by-election, where he was a Green Party candidate. He's now standing for the Respect Party in the Clayton Fairweather Green ward in Bradford. Good evening, Dawud.
Alaikum salam.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
To be here again.
And last but not least, Darwin's very own Councillor Paul Brown. He's been a councillor for 37 years. What a legend he is. And we're very pleased to have a Liberal Democrat in the studio. Good evening, Paul, sir.
Good evening, my friend.
Welcome
Thank you for
to the show.
inviting me.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Let's start with you, Paul. You've been a councillor for 37 years. Liberal Democrats not putting candidates up in Blackburn, but you seem to be the only candidate in Darwin?
No. We've a full house in Darwin.
Yeah.
We're fighting every ward in Darwin. Blackburn's a different kettle of fish. We have one candidate actually fighting in Blackburn this time. But politics in Blackburn are completely different to anywhere else I've known. And I mean that sincerely. We have 6 Liberal Democrat councillors in Blackburn. And because of the way that the Asian people vote in Blackburn, it's really upsetting because these guys who we have, they were Liberal Democrats, they got elected as Liberal Democrats, and 4 of them walked over to Labour. All because of the families. This is what I can't understand. It's the families have told them that, now come on, you're on wrong party here, and you must do what we say, not what you think, what you say. And 4 of them walked over to the Labour Party in Blackburn. So it's not that we haven't got people, it's that we just can't get people who are called true to the faith to say, I am a Liberal and I'll stand by it through hell or high water. That's me, and I've done it, and that's why anybody else can't do it. But this is the fact in Blackburn, and that's the reason why we haven't got candidates here on the Blackburn with Darwin Council. But in Darwin, where we have 5 wards up for the re-election, we're fighting every one of them.
Now, the last time you were up was in 2008.
Me?
Yeah.
Were it?
Yeah.
You know more than me.
I'm hoping I'm right. It was 4 years ago, which makes 2008.
Well, probably you're right.
It is, yeah.
And Labour Party were on their lowest point. 4 years on, the Liberal Democrats are on 11% in the opinion polls. What are your chances of holding on to your seats?
In Darwin, we'll hold them. We will hold our seats in Darwin, make no mistake about it.
Well, first time I've heard a politician so absolutely adamant.
Yeah.
Dawud Islam, now, You were a Green Party candidate, and now you've jumped ship.
That's right, yeah.
Any particular reason why?
Absolutely. I think that at the moment, the Bradford Spring and the bounce off of the Respects by-election victory presents the best opportunity for people who share a progressive left-wing agenda to get their politics across.
So why didn't you jump before the election?
I was aware of the Respect Party, and I was a fan of George Galloway's before the election. It has to be said that the party's organisation, and I'm sure they would admit this themselves, was at a low ebb prior to that election. So with the policies being pretty much the same between the Green Party and the Respect Party, there was no reason for me to consider a move at that time, because the Green Party represented the best opportunity to get my agenda across to the public, albeit it was very difficult in the area that I live, in the centre of Bradford. However, George's by-election victory changed all of that.
Why did he jump ship? Why is it opportunism from a politician who's just seen his party being, struggle in the Bradford West by-election, and then suddenly saw the tsunami that George Galloway, and then jump on the bandwagon? You're a typical politician, are you, Dawud?
It's not political opportunism, and I'll tell you why it isn't, because I actually left the Labour Party in 1996 when they were on the verge of their biggest ever electoral victory in history.
You jumped on the Respect bandwagon in Bradford because of the George Galloway effect, thinking that this will sweep you to victory in your council by-election.
If I can change to a party that allows me to get my agenda implemented without having to compromise my opinions, then I think that that's something that any progressive politician would consider. Whereas in the Labour Party, I could have got elected, but I would have had to compromise my views if I stayed in the Labour Party. But
I'm sure you want to talk about the Labour Party. We can go on to the Labour Party, but just for clarification, are you saying that your opinions and your values were restricted in the Green Party?
I was on the left side of the Green Party, for sure.
I didn't know there was a left and right in the Greens.
There is. There are red Greens, believe me. Yeah? And I happen to know that there were Green members in Bradford West that actually voted for George Galloway. I've spoken to half a dozen of them myself. But having said that, I did support the majority of Greens' agenda, and I still do. I have absolutely no truck to grind with the party at all. You know, I respect.
So why leave?
Because, and you know, I make no excuses for this, as a politician I want to get elected to implement my agenda.
So it's to do with getting elected, so you wouldn't be able to get elected as a Green Party candidate, so you decided to jump ship to the Respect Party.
I don't think that I have to apologise for wanting to get my policies implemented, yeah? So if I can move across without compromising my views. Now that's completely different if I'd changed my views completely. To give you an example, a previous Green candidate, Sonia McNally, jumped ship to join UKIP. Now that's purely political ambition, the reason that she has done that, because the views of the Green Party and UKIP are diametrically opposite.
I'm sure we'll explore this as the night gets on, but Khadim Hussain, you absolutely got wiped out in Bradford West. What happened?
Well, Bradford West, I think, quite rightly, there were.
Because it's the first time we've got somebody from the Labour Party here, from Bradford district, if you like, sitting here and actually responding to what actually happened. So we're interested to hear your views.
Well, yeah, I think there were a number of factors actually, and let's be honest. As Dawud said quite rightly, it was unfortunate the results didn't go in our favour. There were a number of factors, and as you know, there's inquiries going into that. We need to learn the lesson from that. I think there's no doubt about that. There was an element of complacency on our part, because it was the 40 years the seat we held, and we felt that there was not an issue. There were issues within the campaign. There was number of issues. Okay. But let me make it clear to you, Shafiq, is that yes, it's quite rightly that the Respect Party got elected, but knowing George Galloway's reputation, he was a member in.
Okay, let's just pause. Let's pause, because I do want to explore that. Just let me tell you what's happening in the football. It is 3-3 on aggregate. The full time is up. Real Madrid 3, Bayern Munich 3. So that means it's penalty shootout. We'll keep you updated as the night wears on as to what happens there. Chelsea won yesterday, so it's going to be very interesting. For you non-football fans, tough, you're just going to have to get used to it. Patrick's in Doncaster. Good evening, Patrick. Hello, Patrick.
Good evening.
How are you, Patrick?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very good. What would you like to share with us tonight?
this evening I would like to say to the Liberal Democrats representative, don't you think people are not voting Liberal Democrat because you and your party have jumped into bed with the right-wing Tory government, driving through savage cuts, hitting the most vulnerable? Obviously, we appreciate what you've done to take people out of tax, but that somehow doesn't make up for the fact that you're hitting disabled people, you're hitting poor people, you're hitting the people who can least afford these cuts. In terms of the London election, I think people should vote Ken Livingstone, oppose these right-wing Tory savage cuts being supported by Mr Nick Clegg and his right-wing Tory government. And
Okay, Patrick,
he's a Liberal Democrat.
Okay, well,
Patrick,
stay on the line. Let Paul come back and speak to you. Paul, what's your reaction to
what
Patrick says?
Patrick, I agree with some of the things you've said there, my friend, but at the last general election it was proved that this country did not want a Labour government. Let's get this straight. They did not want a Conservative government, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right, thank you. We agree on that.
Absolutely.
Right. Now then, the both parties came to the Liberal Democrats to call a coalition government. And you know it took a fortnight towards 3 weeks for a coalition to come together between either the Labour Party or the Conservative Party. The Liberal Democrats had a vote, and they voted, I'm not talking about the parliamentary candidates, I'm talking about the Liberal Democrat Party had a vote, and the majority of them voted to go in with the Tories. Because somebody, somewhere along the line, had to get this country out of the mess, and I'm sorry to say this, whether you're a Labour supporter or not, what the Labour government put us into. Gordon Brown and Blair sold this country down the river. They sold everything what we had dear, everything, and that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah, Patrick, you want to come back quickly?
You think by attacking disabled people and cutting housing benefit, cutting EMA,
Precisely.
cutting Sure Start centres, cutting police, privatising the National Health Service, privatising the police service, trying to sell off the forests, raising rail fares, cutting investment, cutting jobs, attacking equality, although I accept what you've done on tax. Somehow you think...
But, I mean, Patrick, come on, let's be honest. I mean, okay, Patrick, let's be honest. Patrick, let's be honest. The Labour Party left an absolute economic mess in terms of a £156 billion deficit. What more do you expect the Liberal Democrats to do?
I expect the Liberal Democrats to start asking the rich people to pay something back to this country because they can afford it. I've just got a pay rise. I'm now on £14,000 a year. However, I'm being asked to pay more than my fair share. Somebody who's rich... Well,
you're getting an income tax threshold being lifted to 9,000.
Isn't being asked to pay anything.
Patrick, your income tax threshold is being lifted to nearly 9,000 next year.
Absolutely, which is something I've acknowledged the Liberal Democrats have done. We thank them for it. However, that doesn't offset what I've already said about all the other cuts, all the other job losses, all the other service cuts, everything else. If a tax threshold raise can somehow offset the fact that we are going to lose